Huge battle today in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Virginia versus Wake Forest. Here's the preview.
You are Locked On Virginia, your daily podcast on the Virginia Cavaliers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Good day, viewers and listeners. I am your host, Big Law Lawrence Johnson, and welcome to Locked On Virginia Cavaliers podcast, your first place to come to get your Wahoo Fix every day as part of the Locked On Podcast Network. The date is 1/21/2023, and this will serve as a pregame show for the University of Virginia Cavaliers versus the Wake Forest Demon Deacons down in North Carolina in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. So let's jump right into it, guys. But before I get into it, let's get into our title sponsor. Our title sponsor today is BetOnline. Today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline, where the game starts. So yeah, this game, huge game. This is for number 2 in the ACC, or to solidify yourself as the number 2 team in the ACC right now. Clemson has the only team with one loss in the conference at 7-1. Then you have kind of a three-way tie, four-way tie for number 2. We're talking Virginia, Wake Forest. You have Miami as well. Those teams are all tied at in second place at 6-2. But this game in particular, these two teams have the better records outside of the conference as well. So it will definitely serve as pretty much a marker to put you at the number 2 position in the conference. And I think Wake Forest is coming in fired up because Virginia is ranked. They're ranked number 10 in the nation right now. And, I really don't know if it's if it is what it is when you play Virginia. They always are given, they get the best shot of every team that they play. It's almost like teams, well, some teams may have an off night, but then some of the players who are the shooters, so to speak, not necessarily always the big men, but it seems like the teams that can shoot outside always seem to give Virginia lots of problems and always give Virginia their best shot. Case in point, the team they're getting ready to play, the Demon Deacons, is kind of a sneaky good team. And they have one player in particular. Well, they actually have 3 players that you really need to watch out for, 3 or 4. But there's one player in particular who is, quite frankly, vying for ACC Player of the Year. And we'll get into who that is and what that's about. But let's talk about the game and how to watch. The game will be at 2 p.m. Today, so make sure you get to your TVs. Get what you're gonna get to the sports bars, get what you're or go where you're gonna get to. Get your beverage of choice, your snack of choice, food of choice, and get ready for an entertaining game, because I think it's really going to be entertaining. Like I said, UVA coming in at number 10, Wake Forest just right outside of the top 25. But that doesn't mean, to me, it doesn't mean too much when you're ranked outside of the 20 or the top 25, meaning just because you're ranked outside of the top 25 doesn't mean that you can't compete truly, with a team that's potentially a top 10, especially when you're talking in the ACC. Now, some people will tell you that the ACC is having a down year, and I will say maybe, but is it just because the blue bloods, your regular blue bloods, aren't having a great year? Meaning your North Carolinas, the defending national champion North Carolina Tar Heels, are not having that great of a year. They're having an okay year, but they've lost a lot of games at this part of the season, you typically wouldn't think they would lose. Also, Duke, another team that you would think would be ranked one of these top 1, 2, 3 teams in the ACC, having a tough year as well with their first-year coach. Also, Louisville, a traditionally great basketball powerhouse as well, in the bottom, bringing up the rear in the ACC. That's definitely something to to keep an eye on with them, because usually you would think of them being one of the top teams in college basketball, period, not just the ACC, based off of their history. But they're just having a tough time, for the moment, and I wonder, what's going to transpire with them at the end of this year. But the game, like I said, 2 o'clock today on ESPNU. So it's going to be off and going, off and jumping, and I'm looking forward to see where this game is going to end. Right now, both teams are one game out of first. Now, keep in mind, Wake Forest has a win over Clemson. Clemson was undefeated until last week, until Wake Forest came up and beat them. Wake Forest is 14 and what are they? 14-5, and they're 6-2 in the conference, like I said. And like I said, they beat Clemson. Virginia is 14-3 and 6-2 in the conference, and they beat Virginia Tech their last game 68-78. And like I said, both teams are one game out of first. And I'm going to get you the tail of the tape. But before we go any further, BetOnline.net is your number one source for sports betting info, stats, news, and analysis. Get the latest odds and trends for every professional, amateur league out there. From pro football to college bowl season to college basketball and World Cup. We've got it all for you at BetOnline.net. If you love sports podcasts, you can even find those at BetOnline as well. We're always the fastest and easiest way to get your betting info. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more. Bet online, where the game starts. So yeah, guys, as I said before, big game today in the ACC. You also have another big game with UNC, the Tar Heels playing the North Carolina State Wolfpack. That's always a big game in North Carolina. It's kind of like the Virginia Tech game. On both ends, you got North Carolina against NC State. So this is a rubber meets the road kind of a match for the North Carolina Tar Heels. They got to pick it up pretty quick here, or you could probably start seeing some of the wheels fall off. Now, I know that they've had injuries. Armando Bacot's been hurt for the last few games, but he's played, and he's played decent. Actually, he's, player of the year. So when he's playing decent, is pretty good for the rest of the league, But Pete Nance as well, the transfer player, son of Larry Nance, Northwestern, has a double kind of a talent, athletic, long, power forward player as well, has been out, and I think it's only a matter of time before North Carolina kind of catches fire again. So if you're gonna win, you got to win now, because that team they will be tournament ready. Hubert Davis will have those guys ready to go, and they have a title to defend. Now, and I am a firm believer in you can never discount the heart of a champion. And that's something that I feel that this team, that the North Carolina team is is a team that will be reckoned with, and has the talent to get back to the Final Four, Elite Eight, whatever you want to call it. So, but let's talk about our team. University of Virginia. This, like I said, this is our tail of the tape. Kind of give you an idea of what the teams are looking like and what their statistics are right now. My opinion of where this Virginia team is going. It seems like Tony Bennett has found his forever starting five, if you remember that term. And also, this is the third game in our 5-leg trap game section here of the season. This is what they have left. They already got through Florida State. They already got through Virginia Tech. This game against Wake Forest is the biggest game of them all because it's officially for second place. The last two games of this 5-leg game streak I was talking about, you got Boston College and Syracuse. So if you could get through this game right here, the most important game, we're looking at going into the February March timeframe, looking at having mid 20s possibly mid 20s kind of a wins season. But these last games that I'm talking about will take you into February, starting February with 17 wins, going into 18 wins. So right now, Wake Forest, they're their team is definitely a team to be reckoned with. So let's talk about some comparisons for their stats. You're talking about Virginia right now is averaging 70 points a game. Now, don't fret when you hear that. Now, people who are traditional Virginia fans, they know that actually 70 points is a lot of points for Virginia. They usually don't score, that many points. They usually keep you in the 60s, and they score in the 60s, and they wound up doing really well. But when they hit 70 points, they have an astonishing record, when they score 70 points. And they're averaging right at 70 points on the dot for the year, which is why it means a lot because their point differential and how they are beating teams is pretty good as well. So we talk about Wake Forest averaging 77.9 points, almost 80 points a game. But that doesn't mean anything. You think about some of the teams that University of Virginia has beaten recently, and like a North Carolina where they're averaging quite a bit of points. But when they came to play these Wahoos, the defensive strategy and the way that Coach Bennett runs that defense absolutely clamp them down and make sure that these teams didn't get what they thought that they were going to get when it comes to points. So points per game: 70 for Virginia, 77 for Wake Forest. Points against: UVA giving up 59.9 points a game. Wake Forest giving up 72. So you can score some points on these guys. The defense, from a field goal percentage standpoint, it looks like, you could score some points on them, and I think Virginia will. Remember, they have done a great job of shooting from outside these past 4 games, and I got to attribute that to Armand Franklin and Bennett Vanderplas. As I said, Tony Bennett has found his forever starting five of Kihei, Armand Franklin, Reese Beekman, Jaden Gardner, and then BVP, my man Bennett Vanderplas, who totally has kind of changed up what usually Tony's big men can usually do. They're very Bennett Vanderplas is very, very versatile on both sides of the court, both ends of the court. You're talking about a big man who can, who can stretch the floor. First of all, we got to talk about that offensively, and then he can match up against some guys for centers that are bigger than him in this pack line defense. His knowledge of playing for 4 years for Ohio, then transferring to UVA, just the experience of playing in tight games, tough games. I think his savvy is starting to show through, which is why I think Caden is on the bench right now. Caden Shedrick and Bobby Cafaro, hasn't played much. It's just because of Ben's savvy, and how he plays against other big men without fouling. He slides, he watches the ball. Whenever they're rotating, he's looking. It just seems like he's more his, not necessarily the knowledge of the game, but just like his more of his intuition. He plays well, plays better, with that than some of the other big men. And then the perks of his offensive game, meaning he could shoot deep. Not only that, he's one of the better passers I've seen on a Tony Bennett's team. He may be the best passing big man that Tony Bennett has ever had. Honestly, when they You can give him the ball in the post as well. If you've even seen that, from a guy who can shoot from deep, you can give him the ball in the post, and he could find the open man. And I've seen him do that, and was really, really impressed to see him execute in that way whenever teams came to double team him. So let's get into a little bit more stats. Of course, the field goal percentage. UVA is shooting 50.9%, almost 51% from the field. And then, of course, Wake Forest, they're shooting 54% from the field. And then the three-point shooting, UVA is shooting 38%. That's up from where they were from 7 games ago, because they've gone on a streak here of hitting more of their outside shots. So 38.2 points for Virginia, 38.2 shooting percentage, 38% from 3-point, and Wake Forest is shooting 37. So they're right about even right there when it comes to shooting from deep, with their 3-pointers. And this team, like I said, they can bomb from deep. It's going to be a rowdy game, with these Wahoos going against these Demon Deacons. And, I feel like, as I said before, this is going to be the toughest game of the 5-game or 5-leg game stretch of trap games, that I talked about earlier. And, this is it, guys. This is going to be it's not a make or break for UVA, because they only lost 3 games and they played well. They lost 2 games, but this will differentiate who's going to take over, that number 2 spot, with the arrow pointing straight up, to go get Clemson. Because right now, Clemson only has 1 loss, and I think the Sharks are in the water when it comes to Clemson. Clemson is a great story right now, and they've done, pretty well, as to get to being the number 1 team in the ACC. But as you know, in the ACC, it just doesn't last. The Blue Bloods typically will come back and claim the conference, whether it's North Carolina, which I don't think North Carolina can claim it in the regular season, but you're talking about the conference, or excuse me, yes, the conference tournament. We have Duke, Virginia, UNC, maybe the NC States. You'll have them, Wake Forest. You'll have these teams that usually show out come tournament time, and that's really when you want your team to start to peak. Is when they get into tournament mode, and it's definitely on the horizon. And I don't know if Clemson can hold up, as much as they have been, this season. Looking for a delicious treat? Don't want all the fat and calories? Then you gotta go try a Built Bar. We just got through the holidays, and I know my goal is to eat a little healthier this year. If you're like me and you want to eat healthier but don't want to compromise taste, then man, I've got just the thing for you. You gotta try Built. With Built, healthy is actually tasty. Seriously. They're so delicious, you won't think they're good for you. Perfect for the New Year's resolution. What makes Built Bars so good? Well, for starters, they're all covered in 100% real chocolate. That's right, real chocolate. And they come in unbelievably good flavors like churro, peanut butter, brownie, and coconut almond. I'm not sure how Built does it, but these bars taste like a candy bar while maintaining amazingly great macros. And what's even better is that they are healthy. Only 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, and a whopping 17 grams of protein. And now, you don't need to wait around to get a box. For years, we've been talking about ordering your Built Bars from Built.com. Now you can get them at your local Walmart and Sam's Club. That's right. Head to your nearest Walmart today, walk to the pharmacy section, and grab yourself a box of Built Bars. You can pick up a 4-bar box of cookies and cream, double chocolate, or coconut puffs. If you're close to Sam's Club, run in and grab a 13-bar box with our hit flavors brownie batter and churro. You can thank me later. They are really good, guys. I can tell you that. They are really good. And, that protein, it'll hold you over. You don't want to get those cravings. The Built Bar does well for you. So I got to give them credit on those Built Bars. We got to test them and try some of them out. And I still have a few left that I'm still using. But they're great. But thank you for watching Locked On Virginia, your first listen of the day. For your second listen, check out our brand new college podcast, which is college basketball experts Isaac Shade and Andy Patton bring you everything you need to know on and off the court, plus hear from big-time experts, coaches, and players throughout the basketball landscape. Locked On College Basketball, available on YouTube, wherever you get your podcast. But as I said before, Wake Forest is going to be a tough nugget to crack here. You're looking at one of the top players if not the top guard in ACC play from a statistical standpoint. You got Tyree Appleby, who averages 18 points, 3 rebounds, and 6 assists. He's number 1 in assists in the ACC and number 2 in scoring, averaging 18 points a game. I think he's only behind Armando Bacot, who averages 19 points a game. So, but this is the kicker. He shoots also, scoring that many points, he's still averages 42% from behind the 3-point line. So he's public enemy number 1. You got to stop him right now. If you don't stop him, we're looking at a long game out in Winston-Salem, but he does have a great band of helpers as well. We're talking about is it Cameron Holderich, who averages 13 points. He's a guard. He's kind of an everything guard. 1.6 rebounds and 2.9 assists. So you have to watch him, more of a penetrating kind of a guard. You got Andrew Calderon as well, who's 11.9.6 rebounds and 1 assist. He averages 34% from behind the 3-point mark as well. So you got to keep your eyes on these guys. These guys can get loose on you, and it's more of a bombs away mentality with them. So, there's nothing that to say that, the University of Virginia can't get in their way, shut them down, as they have done throughout, the history of playing this pack line defense, making teams shoot over them. But it seems like there's always a team or the team's best shooters have their best games because of the challenge of trying to beat this defense and shoot a great percentage from deep. But, for Virginia players, you're looking at Amon Franklin, who's averaging up to 12 points a game, 4 rebounds, 1 assist. Reese Beekman averaging 10 points, 3 rebounds, 5 assists. Kihei Clark, 11 points, 2 rebounds, 5.9, almost 6 assists a game, who's actually been playing his best basketball as a Wahoo, and I'm looking forward to that. The main matchup is going to be Tyree Appleby and Kihei Clark. This is the mano a mano. This is, probably the best, the smallest, best on-ball defender for a little guard in the ACC, which is Kihei against Tyree Appleby, who is the top scoring guard in the ACC. So Kihei, this is all about Kihei Clark right now. He's been on a streak, and he's been playing his best basketball as a Wahoo. Let's see how Kihei continues to keep this thing going, for his streak right now. He just came off of a 20.5 assist game in front of Steph Curry at home, at JPJ. And he's, like I said, these last 5 games, he's just, in his groove. And it just seems like, anyone who has been a Kihei hater or a Kihei complainer No need to do that anymore. Kihei is on his game right now, and he looks great doing it. He's really, showing us that he's ready to, his mistakes are down as well, which was kind of a pet peeve of mine. Is he does a lot for the team. 'Cause, I call him the little general. He's a leader for a reason, but sometimes he loses his concentration and he would turn the ball over. But great job, on Kihei going through going through an incredible stretch for him right now. And, I think that this will be his defining game of the year against the best guard in the ACC and the top assist man in the ACC as well. Then, of course, you got Jaden Gardner, who's averaging 10 points, 5 assists. You got four guys essentially averaging double figures. And if you throw Caden in there, who's right at about 8, 9 points a game, you almost have 5 games. But not to mention Bennett Vanderplas, who's averaging close to 9, 10 points a game himself. So you almost got 6 guys, for the University of Virginia, which I don't know if Tony's ever had 6 guys almost averaging 10 points or averaging right at about 10 points a game, which really gives the team a ton of versatility. And you're also looking at, a team that if they are hitting their outside shots, there's no way that you're going to beat them. There's just no way. All of them shoot, really well. Reese Beekman is shooting 47% from 3. Armand Franklin's up to 42%, which last year he shot in the low 20s. Huge difference for this team. And I can't wait to see this game. It's 2 o'clock ESPNU. And make sure you're there because I will be there looking forward to seeing how this game shakes out. But also check for me. If you love what you hear, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube page. Click that YouTube subscribe button so you can get us every time I go live, and also like us on Odyssey, Spotify, and all the other podcast apps that are out there, and you'll get notified every time we go live. But yes, also quickly before I get out of here, a lot of this is Junior Day. You got a lot of juniors coming on campus this weekend, so make sure you guys keeping a lookout for my homegirl Jackie Franchuli. She's letting us know who's out there, what juniors, in state, out of state players that are coming in to check out the grounds, to see how they feel about the University of Virginia's recruiting efforts. And I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with that as well. So let's just keep this ball rolling. Keep in mind, baseball is coming. They're ranked as well. Another team in the top 25. Big news, big talent. Also, how about the University of Virginia's lacrosse team being ranked number 1? I'm looking forward to covering that for you guys as well. Still busy, man. Still a lot of things going on. So just make sure you guys keep a check on it, and we'll keep you guys updated on everything. Thank you for making Locked On Virginia your first listen today. For your second listen, check out a brand new podcast, Locked On College Basketball. Experts Isaac Shade and Andy Patton bring you everything you need to know on and off the court. Plus, hear from big-name experts, coaches, and players throughout the basketball landscape. Locked On College Basketball available on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you, guys. Happy Saturday, and wahoo!